Hi, and welcome to tonight's study in the book of Proverbs. We're going to do chapter 5 tonight. We're kind of going a little bit fast because Solomon's covering some ground over and over again, and the reason is because this original teaching is to a son, or maybe sons, and there's some things he wants them to know, and as parents we know that if you don't repeat things over and over to your children, they don't learn. But also as believers, we need our Father to tell us the same things over and over again. But we're not going through it quickly because it's not important. It's very important. But we're just going to let the words of God speak for the most part tonight. And tonight we're going to look at an admonition to avoid seduction to evil, which is one of the main themes at the beginning of the book. 5:1 says, "My child, be attentive to my wisdom, pay close attention to my understanding, in order to safeguard discretion, and that your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey, and her seductive words are smoother than olive oil. But in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave." And literally, in this culture, adultery was punishable by death. So it means that, like, figuratively, but actually, if you got caught doing this, you would be stoned to death. Verse 6 says, "Lest she should make level the path leading to life. Her paths are unstable, but she does not know it." And this is like non-believers that we run into every day. And it seems clear to us because we have the Holy Spirit. But it isn't to them. They don't understand that they're missing the best things in the universe. And it says that this person, could make their path straight, but they choose not to. Verse 7 says, "So now, children, listen to me. Do not turn aside from the words I speak. Keep yourself far from her, and do not go near the door of her house, lest you give your vigor to others and your years to a cruel person, lest strangers devour your strength and your labor benefit another man's house. And at the end of your life you will groan when your flesh and your body are wasted away, and you will say, 'How I hated discipline. My heart spurned reproof. For I did not obey my teachers, and I did not heed my instructors. I almost came to complete ruin in the midst of the whole congregation. Drink water from your own cistern, and running water from your own well.'" There's a saying from the civil rights era that the white man's ice is colder and his sugar is sweeter. And that might have seemed that way to blacks during that struggle, but it isn't. The grass is not greener on the other side, and Solomon's advice is stay home. Verse 16 says, "Should your springs be dispersed outside, your streams of water in the wide plazas, let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you." So he's against being a swinger too. "May your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in your young wife, a loving doe, a graceful deer. May her breasts satisfy you at all times. May you be captivated by her love always. But why should you be captivated, my son, by an adulteress, and embrace the bosom of a different woman? For the ways of a person are in front of the Lord's eyes, and the Lord weighs all that person's paths. The wicked will be captured by his own iniquities, and he will be held by the cords of his own sin. He will die because there was no discipline. Because of the greatness of his folly, he will reel." The Greeks believed that every human being had a tragic flaw, and they called that hamartia. In Hamlet, which is one of my favorite plays, it's the Hamlet laments in the beginning of the play about how his uncle Claudius is a drinker, and that too much drinking caused his other faults. But the writers of the New Testament understood that we all have that same tragic flaw. We got it from our great-great-great-great-grandfather, Adam. And the only way we can deal with it is through the second Adam, Jesus. Now, if you notice, Proverbs is pounding away at two major themes here. Be true to your wife, and don't make your living dishonestly. And if you keep that advice in your own life, you're going to have a pretty good life. We have three major parts of our lives. We have a spiritual life, we have a home life, and we have a work life. So, how do we go through the spiritual life to ensure that the other two parts are in sync and that we are going through those in according to God's purposes? Well, Solomon says that in 5:21, for the ways of a person are in front of the Lord's eyes, and the Lord weighs all that person's paths. The wicked will be captured by his own iniquities, and he will be held by the cords of his own sin. He will die because there was no discipline. Because of the greatness of his folly, he will reel. So, it's very important. That's why I read it a second time. Because God's watching over us, we have to have discipline. We should, I know that that's not a popular thought, but He is watching us all the time. And we have wicked hearts, so we need to be able to say, well, yeah, He is watching us. And how do we do that? How do we have that discipline? Well, I'm trying to do something a little different tonight, and it has to do with something called PROME, P-R-O-M-E. And it keeps you balanced on your spiritual life so that you can have a blessed home and work life. And what I'm going to do is a second video. So if I did them both together, it would have been too long for YouTube. So I'm going to stop this one now, and I will see you in the other video. Ciao.